Emma Thompson walked slowly down the hallway of Westlake High School. She held her books close to her chest like a shield. At 16 years old, Emma was in her junior year, but she didn't look forward to school days like other teens. Every morning, she woke up with a heavy feeling in her stomach that wasn't just from the extra weight she carried. Emma had been overweight since she was 9 years old. After her father left, food became her comfort. Her mother worked 2 jobs, leaving Emma alone with TV dinners and snacks most evenings. By high school, Emma was 50 pounds heavier than most girls her age. "Hey, wide load, coming through." The voice belonged to Tyler Jenkins, captain of the basketball team. He high-fived his friend Derek as they both laughed. Emma kept her eyes down and walked faster, her cheeks burning with shame. In first period English class, Emma sat in the back corner. She always chose seats that kept her partially hidden. As Mrs. Peterson discussed their assignment on The Great Gatsby, Emma felt something hit the back of her head. She reached up and found a small paper ball. When she'd unfolded it, she saw a crude drawing of an elephant with her name written on it. Giggles came from the middle row where Madison Parker sat with her friends. Madison, with her perfect blonde hair and size 2 jeans, had made Emma her favorite target since middle school. Emma crumpled the paper and shoved it into her pocket. She had learned not to react. Reactions only made things worse. During math class, Emma actually smiled a little. Mr. Garcia never allowed teasing in his classroom, and Emma was good with numbers. For 45 minutes, she felt almost normal as she solved equations and raised her hand to answer questions. But the brief piece ended when the lunch bell rang. Emma usually ate her lunch in the library, but today the librarian had put up a "closed for inventory" sign. With nowhere else to go, Emma reluctantly entered the cafeteria with her brown bag lunch. "Look who decided to join us," Madison said loudly as Emma searched for an empty table. "I'm surprised they let you in. Isn't there a weight limit for these chairs?" Several students laughed, while others looked uncomfortable but said nothing. Emma found a small table in the corner and sat alone. She unwrapped her sandwich, but had lost her appetite. As she stared at her food, she noticed someone approaching. It was Zoe Chen, a quiet girl from her science class. "Can I sit here?" Zoe asked. Emma nodded, surprised. Nobody ever chose to sit with her. "They're just jealous because you got the highest score on Garcia's test yesterday," Zoe said quietly. "I doubt that's why," Emma replied, her eyes filling with tears she tried to hold back. "Well, I think you're smart," Zoe said, opening her own lunch. "And Madison is just mean because her boyfriend broke up with her last weekend." For a moment, Emma felt a tiny spark of something like hope. Maybe everyone didn't hate her after all. But then she heard Madison's voice again, louder this time. "Oh my God, look. Now there are 2 of them at the loser table. Better stay away, or you might catch the fat disease." Zoe's face fell, and Emma saw her new potential friend's embarrassment. Emma knew what would happen next. Zoe would move to another table tomorrow. Everyone always did. As Emma walked to her next class, she wondered how much longer she could take this. Something had to change. She just didn't know what. Emma dreaded gym class more than any other part of her school day. It came right after lunch, giving her no time to hide in a bathroom stall until the bell rang. Today, Coach Wilson announced they would be playing volleyball. "Team captains are Madison and Derek," Coach Wilson said, blowing his whistle. "Pick your teams." Emma stood in the line of students, looking at the floor. She already knew what would happen. One by one, names were called until only she remained. "Guess Emma's on your team, Madison," Coach Wilson said, checking his clipboard. Madison rolled her eyes. "Great. Just stay in the back and try not to break the floor when you move." The game started, and Emma tried to stay out of the way. When the ball came toward her once, she hit it, but it went out of bounds. Her teammates groaned. "Nice job, Elephant Girl," someone called out. After gym class, Emma hurried to change back into her regular clothes. The locker room was another place of torture. She always waited until most girls left before changing, but today Madison and her friends lingered. "Hurry up, Emma. Don't you have a buffet to get to?" Madison laughed, taking pictures with her phone while Emma tried to cover herself. Emma rushed to her history class with wet eyes. The day wasn't even over yet, and she felt like she couldn't breathe. She just needed to get through 2 more periods. When the final bell rang, Emma felt relief wash over her. She gathered her things and headed for the exit. Freedom was just steps away when she heard Madison's voice behind her. "Hey, everyone, I almost forgot." Madison called out in the crowded hallway. "It's Emma's birthday today, right? Let's sing to her." It wasn't Emma's birthday. She tried to keep walking, but the crowd had stopped to watch. "Wait, I got her a special present," Tyler said with a smirk. He pulled out a chocolate cake from his backpack. The cake was squished and messy, clearly something he had found in the trash after lunch. "Make a wish, birthday girl," Madison laughed. Before Emma could move, Tyler pushed the cake toward her face. She stepped back, but tripped over someone's foot and fell hard on the floor. The cake splattered across her shirt and face as students erupted in laughter. "Timber!" Someone yelled as phones came out to record the moment. Emma lay there, cake smeared across her clothes, tears mixing with chocolate frosting. A circle of students surrounded her, their phones capturing her humiliation. The floor shook when she fell. Did you see her face? "This is going straight to Instagram." Emma couldn't move. It felt like her worst nightmare coming true. Then, through her tears, she saw a hand reach down toward her. It was Zoe from lunch. "Come on," Zoe said quietly. "Let's get you out of here." The vice principal, Mr. Torres, pushed through the crowd. "What's going on here? Everyone disperse now. You and you," he pointed at Madison and Tyler, "my office immediately." Zoe helped Emma to her feet and led her to the nearest bathroom. Emma's whole body shook with sobs as Zoe used wet paper towels to clean frosting from her face. "They're horrible people," Zoe said. "You didn't deserve that." Emma couldn't speak. All she could think about was how the video would be everywhere by tonight. Everyone would see. Her mom would see. She would never be able to show her face at school again. "I can't come back here," Emma whispered. "I just can't." "Don't let them win," Zoe replied, squeezing Emma's hand. "We'll figure something out." But as Emma walked home that afternoon, cake still sticky on her clothes, she didn't believe things would ever get better. She felt completely broken. Emma didn't go to school the next day, or the day after that. Her mother, Susan Thompson, called the school to report her sick with the flu. In reality, Emma couldn't face the thought of walking through those hallways again. The video of her cake incident had spread everywhere, just as she feared. By evening on the day it happened, Emma's phone buzzed constantly with notifications. She finally turned it off after seeing comments like "earthquake warning," "Emma is coming," and "watch the floor crack when she falls." On the third morning, Emma lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Her room had become her prison and her sanctuary. Empty chip bags and candy wrappers littered the floor, evidence of how she tried to comfort herself. "Emma, honey," her mother said, opening the door slightly. "I need to go to work, but there's soup in the fridge. Are you feeling any better today?" Emma mumbled something about still feeling sick. Her mother looked worried but didn't push. She worked as a nurse at the local hospital and couldn't afford to miss more shifts. "I'll check on you at lunch break," she promised, closing the door. When her mother left, Emma finally checked her phone. 73 notifications. Most were tagged posts of the video or cruel memes someone had made using screenshots of her fall, but there were also 3 messages from Zoe. "Are you okay? People are being horrible, but Mr. Torres suspended Madison and Tyler for 3 days. Please text me back when you can. I'm worried about you." Emma felt a tiny flicker of warmth knowing someone cared. She texted back a simple "I'm alive" before putting her phone down again. She dragged herself to the bathroom and stared at her reflection. Her eyes were puffy from crying, and her hair was greasy from not showering. But it was her body that drew her gaze, the round face, double chin, thick arms, and wide stomach that made her a target. "I hate you," she whispered to her reflection. "I hate you so much." Then something unexpected happened. As she stared at herself with those hateful thoughts, a different voice rose in her mind. It sounded a bit like her grandmother, who had passed away 2 years ago. "Now, that's no way to talk to yourself, child." Emma blinked. Her grandmother had been the only person who always made her feel worthy, no matter her size. Almost in a trance, Emma walked back to her room and found an empty notebook in her desk drawer. She began to write, letting all her pain flow onto the page. "They think they know me because of how I look. They think I'm nothing but my size. They make me feel worthless every day. But what if they're wrong? What if I'm more than what they see?" Emma wrote for hours, filling page after page, She wrote about the pain, the embarrassment, the times she considered harming herself. She wrote about how food became her comfort when her dad left, how her mother worked so hard they barely saw each other, how she once loved to sing before shame silenced her. When she finally stopped writing, the sun was setting outside her window. Her hand cramped, but something had shifted inside her. Putting the words on paper had released some of the poison. She picked up her phone and, for the first time, opened the video that had been shared of her falling. She made herself watch it from beginning to end. Yes, it was humiliating. Yes, it hurt to see herself like that. But as she watched, she noticed something she hadn't before. In the background, several students weren't laughing. Some looked uncomfortable, even sad. One girl actually stepped forward as if to help before the crowd blocked her. Emma wasn't alone, not completely. She took a deep breath and texted Zoe, "Can you bring me the homework I've missed? And maybe we could talk about something I'm thinking of doing." For the first time in days, Emma felt a spark of something that felt like power. She wasn't sure what she was going to do yet, but she knew one thing for certain. She couldn't keep living like this. Something had to change, and it had to start with her. When Zoe arrived at Emma's house that evening with a folder of schoolwork, she found a different Emma than the broken girl from the hallway incident. Emma's hair was washed, she wore clean clothes, and there was a determined look in her eyes. "Thanks for coming," Emma said, inviting Zoe into her room. "Sorry about the mess." "No problem," Zoe replied, looking around at the posters of singers and movies on Emma's walls. "Are you feeling better?" Emma sat on her bed and motioned for Zoe to take the desk chair. "Not really, but I've been thinking a lot." She showed Zoe the notebook where she had poured out her feelings. "I realized something today. I've been letting them win for years. Every time I skip lunch to avoid the cafeteria, every time I don't raise my hand even though I know the answer, every time I make myself smaller so they won't notice me, they win." Zoe nodded, listening carefully. "I'm tired of it," Emma continued. "I don't want to be their victim anymore." "So what are you going to do?" Zoe asked. "Report them? Your mom could talk to the principal." Emma shook her head. "That won't change anything. Madison got suspended, but when she comes back, things will be the same, maybe even worse." She pulled out her laptop and opened a webpage she'd been looking at. "I found this online group called Strong Beyond Size. It's for teens dealing with body image issues and bullying. They have meetings at the community center every Saturday. Are you thinking of going?" Zoe asked. "Yes, but I want to do more than that." Emma's voice grew stronger. "I want to fight back, but not the way they would expect." "What do you mean?" Emma turned to a fresh page in her notebook. "I have a plan, but I need help." For the next hour, the girls talked, made lists, and researched online. Emma's plan was taking shape, and with each new idea, she felt more confident. "First," Emma explained, "I need to go back to school tomorrow. I can't hide forever." "Are you sure?" Zoe looked worried. "People are still talking about the video. That's exactly why I need to go back. If I hide, the video wins." Emma's hands trembled slightly, but her voice remained steady. "I'm going to wear my red sweater, the one my mom says brings out my eyes. I'll meet you at the front entrance," Zoe promised. "We can walk in together." Emma smiled gratefully. "Next, I need to talk to Mr. Peterson. He's the faculty advisor for the school newspaper." "The newspaper? Why?" "Because," Emma said, "I want to write an article about bullying and its effects on mental health. I want to tell my story." Zoe's eyes widened. "Wow, that's brave." "I'm terrified," Emma admitted. "But I've been silent for too long." Emma showed Zoe a website she found where teens shared their experiences with bullying anonymously. "I'm going to start my own blog too. Not anonymous. I want to use my real name and eventually my real photo." "The bullies will see it," Zoe warned. "I'm counting on it," Emma replied with newfound confidence. "But more importantly, other kids who are suffering will see it too. Maybe they'll feel less alone." As they continued planning, Emma's mother peeked into the room. She looked surprised and relieved to see her daughter with a friend, engaged and animated instead of hiding under blankets. "Can I get you girls some snacks?" she offered. "Actually, Mom," Emma said, "can I talk to you about something important later? I need your help too." That night, After Zoe left and Emma had explained her plan to her mother, she sat alone with her notebook again. She wrote at the top of a clean page, "Day 1 of my new life." She knew returning to school would be hard. The whispers and stares wouldn't stop overnight. Madison and her friends wouldn't suddenly become kind. But for the first time in years, Emma felt a sense of purpose. She was done being a victim. Tomorrow would be the beginning of something new. She was still afraid, but now her fear was mixed with something else: hope. The next morning, Emma stood in front of Westlake High School, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst from her chest. True to her word, she wore her red sweater. Her mother had helped her style her hair, and she had even put on a little mascara. "You can do this," Zoe said, appearing beside her. "Just remember our plan." Emma took a deep breath and walked through the front doors. Almost immediately, she noticed the stares and whispers. A group of freshman girls giggled as she passed. Someone whispered "Cake Girl" loud enough for her to hear. Her face burned with embarrassment, but she kept walking, head up, eyes forward. This was exactly what she had expected, what she had prepared herself for. First period was English with Mrs. Peterson. When Emma walked in, the room went quiet for a moment before the buzz of whispers started again. She took her usual seat in the back, though every instinct told her to run away. "Glad to have you back, Emma," Mrs. Peterson said with a kind smile. "We missed you." After class, Emma approached Mrs. Peterson's desk. Her hands were shaking, but her voice remained steady as she explained her idea about writing for the school newspaper. "I think that's a wonderful idea," Mrs. Peterson said, looking impressed. "Mr. Collins would be thrilled to have a piece on bullying from a personal perspective. Go see him during lunch period." Emma's next two classes passed in a blur of anxiety and determination. Then came lunch, the time she had been dreading most. "We can eat in the art room," Zoe offered. "Ms. Rivera won't mind." But Emma shook her head. "No, I need to go to the cafeteria." When Emma entered the noisy cafeteria, several heads turned in her direction. She spotted Madison and her friends at their usual table. Madison whispered something, and the whole table burst into laughter. Emma's legs felt like jelly, but she walked to an empty table near the center of the room, not hiding in the corner like she used to. Zoe sat beside her, and to her surprise, another girl named Leela joined them. "I thought what they did to you was really mean," Leela said quietly. "My brother gets bullied too, because he has a stutter." As they ate, Emma noticed more than just the people making fun of her. She saw how many students were sitting alone, looking uncomfortable or trying to make themselves invisible, just like she had done for years. After lunch, Emma visited Mr. Collins in the newspaper office. He listened carefully as she explained her idea for an article series about bullying. "I love it," he said when she finished. "We need more real stories in the paper. Can you have a first draft for me by next Friday?" "Yes," Emma promised, feeling a surge of excitement. That afternoon, when she got home, Emma created her blog. She titled it "More Than What You See" and wrote her first post. "My name is Emma Thompson. 3 days ago, I was humiliated in front of my entire school. Someone pushed a cake in my face and I fell. People laughed. They recorded it. They shared the video. They called me names because of my weight. I wanted to disappear, but instead, I'm choosing to speak up. This blog is for anyone who has ever felt like they weren't enough. For anyone who has been made to feel ashamed of who they are. You're not alone." She hesitated over the publish button for several minutes before finally clicking it. As soon as she did, she texted the link to Zoe. Within an hour, there were 5 comments. 3 were from strangers who had found her blog through tags. "This happened to me too. Thank you for being brave. Keep writing. I need to hear this. You're helping me feel less alone today." Emma read the comments with tears in her eyes. For the first time in years, she didn't feel so isolated. There were others out there who understood her pain because they had experienced it too. When her mother came home from work, Emma showed her the blog. "I'm so proud of you," her mother said, hugging her tightly. "You're turning your pain into something powerful." That night, Emma wrote in her journal again. "Today was hard. Tomorrow might be harder. I'm not hiding anymore." A week passed. Emma's blog grew from 5 comments to 50, then to over 200. People from other schools, even other states, found her posts and shared their own stories. Each morning, she checked the comments before school, drawing strength from the supportive messages. At school, things were different, but not in the way Emma had expected. Madison and Tyler had returned from their suspension. They still made faces at Emma in the hallway, but they were more careful now, watching for teachers before saying anything cruel. What surprised Emma most was how other students started to react. The constant whispers hadn't stopped, but now she sometimes caught words like brave and cool blog mixed in with the negative comments. On Tuesday, Emma's article appeared in the school newspaper. Mr. Collins had given it the front page with the title, "The Weight of Words. A Bullying Survivor Speaks Out." Emma described how it felt to be targeted day after day and the damage that words could do. She didn't name Madison or Tyler, but she described the cake incident in detail. "The problem isn't just the bullies," she wrote. "It's everyone who watches and does nothing. Every laugh, every share of a cruel video, every silent witness makes bullying possible." By lunchtime, it seemed like everyone had read the article. Emma sat at her usual table with Zoe and Leela. To her shock, 2 more students joined them, Ben from her math class and Aisha from the debate team. "Your article was really good," Aisha said, opening her lunch bag. "I've been writing about bullying for debate club, and I'd love to interview you sometime." "Me too," Ben added. "Well, not about debate, but I liked what you wrote. My little brother gets picked on because he's small for his age. I showed in your blog." Emma was answering their questions when Madison appeared at their table, flanked by her usual friends. The cafeteria seemed to go quiet. "So you're famous now because you fell on your fat behind," Madison said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Nice way to get attention." Emma's heart raced, but she remembered what she had practiced with Zoe. She looked directly at Madison. "Is there something you want to say to me, Madison?" she asked calmly. Madison seemed thrown off by Emma's direct response. She had expected Emma to look away or cry like before. "I just think it's pathetic that you're making yourself into some victim hero," Madison snapped. "Nobody cares about your stupid blog." Emma took a deep breath. "Actually, hundreds of people care, because what happened to me happens to people every day, and it hurts. Please," Madison rolled her eyes. "If you can't handle a joke." "It wasn't a joke," Emma interrupted, her voice steady despite her shaking hands. "Jokes are funny. Humiliating someone isn't funny. It's cruel." Students at nearby tables were watching now. Emma noticed Mr. Torres, the vice principal, hovering near the cafeteria entrance, observing the interaction. "Whatever," Madison said, clearly uncomfortable with the attention. "You're still." "Still what?" Emma challenged. "Overweight? Yes, I am. And I'm also smart, and a good writer, and a loyal friend. My weight is just one thing about me, not everything." Madison's face flushed red. She wasn't used to Emma standing up to her. "You think you're so special now," Madison hissed, but her voice had lost some of its edge. "No," Emma said. "I think everyone is special, including you, Madison. I just wonder why you need to make others feel small to feel big yourself." A few students gasped. No one talked to Madison that way. For a moment, Emma thought Madison might slap her or scream. Instead, something unexpected happened. Madison's eyes filled with tears. She turned and rushed out of the cafeteria, her friends trailing behind her in confusion. "That was amazing," Zoe whispered as the cafeteria erupted in chatter. Emma didn't feel amazing. She felt shaky and a little sick, but she'd also felt something else, strong. For the first time, she had faced her biggest fear and spoken her truth. After school, Emma checked her phone and found a notification she never expected. Madison Parker had visited her blog. She hadn't left a comment, but she had been there, reading Emma's words. Perhaps, for the first time, really seeing her. The next day at school felt different. Students who had never spoken to Emma before nodded or smiled at her in the hallways. In history class, when the teacher asked for volunteers to present first, Emma raised her hand. Her heart beat wildly as she stood in front of the class, but she made it through her presentation without stumbling over her words. Emma's blog continued to grow. Local news heard about her story from a parent who worked at the station. A reporter emailed Emma asking if she would share her experience on camera. "I don't know about this," Emma's mother said, reading the email. "Are you sure you want that kind of attention?" Emma wasn't sure, but she thought about all the messages she had received from other teens who felt just as alone as she once did. I think I need to do it, Mom, not just for me. The interview took place after school in the library. Emma wore her red sweater again. It had become a kind of armor for her. The reporter, Ms. Sanchez, asked about the bullying, the cake incident, and how Emma had chosen to respond. Most people would want revenge, Ms. Sanchez said. Why did you start a blog instead? Emma thought carefully before answering. Revenge would just continue the cycle of hurt. I wanted to break it. When I started writing, I was just trying to make sense of my own feelings. But then I realized how many other people feel the same way. Not good enough, not pretty enough, not thin enough. We're all just trying to be seen for who we really are. The interview aired that weekend. Emma watched it with her mother, cringing at how nervous she looked on camera, but proud of what she had said. On Monday morning, the principal, Dr. Roberts, called Emma to his office. She worried she might be in trouble for the interview, but instead, he asked for her help. Our anti-bullying program isn't working, Dr. Roberts admitted. The assemblies, the posters, kids chewed it all out. But they're listening to you, Emma. Would you consider leading a student committee to help us develop a better approach? Emma couldn't believe what she was hearing. Me? Yes, you? Dr. Roberts smiled. You've shown remarkable courage and leadership. We need more of that in this school. That afternoon, Emma put up sign-up sheets for the new anti-bullying student committee. She worried no one would join, but by the end of the day, 15 names were on the list, including Ben, Aisha, and several others she hardly knew. Most surprising was the last name on the list, Madison Parker. Is this some kind of joke? Zoe asked when she saw Madison's name. I don't think so, Emma said, though she wasn't sure either. The answer came after school as Emma was walking to the bus. Madison approached her, alone without her usual group of friends. Can we talk? Madison asked. Her usual confidence was gone. She looked smaller somehow, vulnerable. Emma nodded, and they sat on a bench near the school entrance. I signed up for your committee, Madison said, her eyes on the ground. I don't know if you want me there. Why did you sign up? Emma asked. Madison was quiet for a long moment. My parents are getting divorced. My dad, he says mean things to my mom. About her weight, how she looks, everything. I never realized until your article. I've been acting just like him. Emma hadn't expected this. The Madison she thought she knew would never admit to being wrong, would never show weakness. The committee is for everyone, Emma said finally. Even people who have been bullies. Maybe especially them. Madison nodded, still not meeting Emma's eyes. My friends think I'm crazy for signing up. They say I'm betraying them. Maybe you're just finding yourself, Emma suggested. For the first time, Madison looked directly at Emma. How did you get so strong, after everything we did to you? Emma thought about her journal, her blog, the supportive comments from strangers, Zoe's friendship, her mother's love. I realized I'm not defined by what other people think of me. Neither are you, Madison. As Madison walked away, Emma felt an unexpected sense of peace. The girl who had tormented her for years was struggling with her own pain. It didn't excuse what Madison had done, but it helped Emma understand it. That evening, Emma wrote a new blog post titled, Finding Strength in Unexpected Places. She wrote about forgiveness, not for the bully's sake, but for her own. As she typed the final words, Emma realized how far she had come from the girl who had hidden under her blankets, wishing to disappear. 6 months had passed since the day Emma fell in the cafeteria with cake on her face. Spring had arrived at Westlake High, bringing with it end-of-year preparations and a feeling of new beginnings. Emma stood in front of the school auditorium, looking out at the faces of her fellow students. The entire school had gathered for a special assembly organized by the Anti-Bullying Student Committee. As committee chair, Emma was giving the opening speech. 6 months ago, I was the girl everyone laughed at, Emma began, her voice clear and steady. Today, I'm still that same girl, but I'm also much more, and so are all of you. The committee had worked hard over the past months. They created a system where students could report bullying anonymously. They started lunch groups for kids who usually ate alone. They even developed a program where older students mentored younger ones who were struggling. Our school feels different now, Emma continued. Not perfect, we still have work to do, but better. I see people standing up for each other. I see friendships forming between students who never would have spoken before. From her spot on stage, Emma could see Zoe in the front row, giving her a thumbs up. Next to Zoe sat Layla, Ben, and Aisha, the core members of the committee who had become Emma's close friends. Behind them was Madison, sitting with a different group now, not her old crowd. Change isn't easy, Emma said. Sometimes it comes from terrible moments, but change is possible. After the assembly, Dr. Roberts presented Emma with the school's first Courage and Compassion Award. Her mother stood at the back of the auditorium, wiping tears from her eyes as she recorded the moment on her phone. Later that afternoon, Emma had her final meeting with the school counselor, Ms. Parker. "You've made remarkable progress, Emma," Ms. Parker said, reviewing her notes. "How are you feeling these days?" Emma thought about the question. "Stronger," she said finally. "Not just mentally. I joined that exercise group I told you about, the one that focuses on health, not weight. And I've been talking to a nutritionist about my relationship with food." "And the blog?" Ms. Parker asked. "How is that going?" "It's becoming a real website now," Emma said with pride. "We got a small grant from the Community Foundation to expand it. We're adding video stories from teens around the country." What Emma didn't mention was that a book publisher had contacted her the previous week, interested in turning her blog posts into a book for teens. She was still processing that news herself. As Emma walked home that day, she passed the park where a group of kids from school were playing basketball. Tyler was among them. He had never apologized for his part in humiliating her, but he no longer bothered her at school. Their paths simply didn't cross much anymore. Emma's phone buzzed with a text from her mother. "Don't forget we have dinner with Grandma at 6. She can't wait to hear about your award." Emma smiled, thinking about how proud her grandmother would be. Then another text came in, this one from a girl in Maryland who had reached out through the blog. "Thank you for giving me courage. I spoke up at my school today. It was scary but worth it." These messages meant more to Emma than any award. Each person who found their voice, who stood up instead of staying silent, that was the real victory. At home, Emma opened her closet to choose an outfit for dinner. Her eye caught the red sweater hanging there. She had worn it so many times during the hardest days, when she needed to feel brave. Today, she chose a blue dress instead. She didn't need the red sweater's protection anymore. As she got ready, Emma glanced at her reflection in the mirror. She still had the same round face, the same body that had once made her a target. But the girl looking back at her now stood tall, with clear eyes and a confident smile. The journey wasn't over. There would always be difficult days, unkind people, and new challenges to face. Emma knew that. But she also knew something more important. She was stronger than any label someone could put on her. She was more than what people saw when they looked at her. And her voice, once silenced by shame, now carried far beyond the hallways of Westlake High. Emma Thompson was no longer defined by what had been done to her, but by what she had chosen to do in response.